Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another video. Just recently, Tim Holtz came out with another brand new oxide color called Crackling Campfire. So here we are with some more Distress Oxide blending combos. This first one is kind of like from this reddish orange to a dark red to a purple. I thought this was a really pretty transition going from Crackling Campfire, which is sort of like an orangey red, but in a different way than Ripe Persimmon. It's a really interesting color, and it kind of does fill a gap that I didn't even know that the Distress line had. And I think I'm going to be using this quite a bit, especially through the fall and winter season. Now you'll notice that I am re-inking a few of my ink pads here in this video. I ended up re-inking quite a few of them actually, and I think that if any of you have wondered like how often you need to re-ink your Distress Oxide ink pads, most of these had never been re-inked before this filming. So I use them quite often, like not a ton, but that gives you some idea of how often you need to re-ink. So Tim does recommend that when you buy a Distress Oxide ink pad that you buy the re-inker at the same time. And now I understand completely why, because with regular Distress inks, they are a dye-based ink. They're just a little bit more liquid. I think the ink pads just hold on to that ink a little bit longer. The Distress Oxide, being that they're sort of a little bit of a hybrid between pigment and dye, they tend to just the moisture gets sucked out of them a little bit faster, and so you do need to re-ink the ink pads more. And when I decided to re-ink them was when, like right here, it was really difficult to get any color to really transfer. That's how you know that you need to re-ink them. My biggest tip for blending with oxide inks is you want to get a lot of ink down onto your paper so that it has a lot to blend, has a lot to work with. And so having a juicy ink pad works well for this. This is one of my most favorite blends for today, Wild Honey, Crackling Campfire, and Walnut Stain. I think it's the most beautiful kind of sunset, autumn, late summer kind of feel to it. I think it turned out beautifully. And I just went back and forth with each of these colors quite a bit. It didn't want to blend right away, but you just keep adding a little more ink on there, and pretty soon you have a beautiful, smooth blend. Like I've done in the past, the paper I'm using today is Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock. You would get a very similar blend on the thicker 110-pound cardstock as well. For this color combo, it's a really subtle color change from antique linen to dried marigold, but I do like how the more warm color of dried marigold transitions into the Crackling Campfire. I think you definitely could go straight from antique linen to Crackling Campfire, but having a little bit of that transition shade that has a little bit of an orangey color really helps kind of pull these all together. So I'm going to blend that with antique linen one more time just to get that color in there. If you ever find that one color is sort of getting lost, it's just a sign to add a little bit more on top. Distress Oxides are very forgiving in that way. They're more opaque, so you can put a color on top and it'll bring that color back. You'll notice that a lot on this next combination, which is Speckled Egg, Chipped Sapphire, and Crackling Campfire. This was a really interesting transition. I wasn't sure how well it would kind of blend between them all. And it was particularly hard getting that transition from Crackling Campfire to Chipped Sapphire, but I do love how it turned out. You're going to see it kind of goes this weird greenish brown shade in the middle. That's because you have a very blue shade with a kind of orangey red, and blue and orange are complementary colors, and when you mix them together you get kind of brownish gray shades. So that's why we're getting that weird transition here, but I do love how it turned out. But I did have to work at it quite a bit to get these colors to actually blend. Now you'll notice that the Speckled Egg is taking up a big huge area, so I brought in some more of that Chipped Sapphire. And then Chipped Sapphire started taking over, so they went back to Speckled Egg. You can go back and forth with these oxides to get the perfect blend, and that's what I did to make sure I had a really nice blend between all three colors. So here are my blending combos for Crackling Campfire. Just a reminder, use the hashtag Christina's Oxide Combos over at Instagram. Share with me what you're creating with my different combinations. I love to see what you're up to. And you can look at that hashtag to see my previous color combinations as well. So on screen, I'm going to include the most recent oxide blending combos. I've got Speckled Egg up there, and then the last couple from when I did my full series. Hope you'll check those out. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll be back very soon with this month's mail call video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.